That's Merle Haggard. Think of what globalization has done to this country. Think about what all the New World Order's activities have produced. And ask yourself, do we want even more of this, 10 times what we've already enjoyed? No, I've enjoyed as much of this as I can stand. And I'm a free man. I'm not a slave to these offshore banks and all their fraud and all their criminality, and I'm standing up against them. Okay, real fast, Bonnie in New York, finish up the point you were making.
Well, the point I want to make ultimately, Alex, and it wasn't about my wonderful husband who's my hero, but
sure.
The point of the matter is there are good guys out there. Okay, I've seen your website. I've been posting. I know all about how the media is using people for their agenda, and they've manipulated events for their agenda. And we see the evil in the world, but there's good out there. Okay, good people. And right now, what's going on is there's a liberation. Okay, from the mental and emotional influences of the past. There's a spiritual struggle going on to overcome past materialistic tendencies. Right now, humanity is being called to raise itself to a higher level. And the spiritual warriors of the future are going to be the ones who raise the frequency of the collective mindset from that materialistic, vein of thinking to a spiritual vein of thinking.
All right. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate your call. Listen, that's a complex issue because, as Gilbert Griffin states correctly, we need to have the long view of history, and we need to get in positions of power ourselves, constitutional positions, and as individual citizens, we have that power as sovereigns to say no to these usurpations, the usurpers, the conquerors, the illegitimate pirates taking over our society. But I agree with you about the hierarchy of needs. You own stuff. Stuff doesn't own you. You don't cheat or steal or hurt people for stuff. That's why my car gets keyed really bad. I'm like, so what? Or somebody backs into it in a parking lot. I'm like, I might fix that in a year. I like having a car that starts, that has a good safety cage, that won't break down on the side of the road. But my wife's not materialistic, but she'll say, why don't you clean all the bird crap off your car? But you haven't cleaned that car in a year. So I almost go to the far extreme of not caring about things. Things to me are tools. But there's also, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but for other people, in the same vein of what you're discussing, kind of an extreme New Age idea. And India, it's nothing new about it, has that idea where some of these yogis sit there under a tree homeless because they're in bliss, they're in nirvana, they're in Valhalla, they're in heaven mentally, spiritually. And so why should they get up or get involved or help anybody because they can mentally transfer themselves somewhere? So too much of an extreme of that mindset gives you a Calcutta, a living hell. Take Mexico, incredibly smart, hardworking, neat, inventive people. But there's an attitude of, so what? I'll just be lazy because the whole system's corrupt. Somebody will just take it from me. I'll do it mañana. I'll take a siesta, to where Mexico can't ever seem to get anything done. And they let the corrupt elite run their system. But I do understand what you're talking about changing our mindsets to go out and have courage and stand up against corruption. But I think just magically changing your mindset, the proof of the mindset, the proof of the change is the action you then take. As Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. India was easy to take over because people had a lay down and take it attitude. As soon as they quit having that attitude, it was over. As soon as they stopped drinking the Kool-Aid. Now, I want to shift gears now and cover the news. And then we have a bunch of video and audio clips and other news I'm going to be covering the next hour. We'll continue with your phone calls at 1-800-259-9231. But before I go any further, before this show runs out in an hour and 20 minutes from now, I want to tell you about a few of the sponsors that make this radio show possible. Speaking of materialism, it's making materialism your God that's bad. It's having a fancy car and a new big screen TV, but your children are drinking tap water filled with hundreds of deadly chemicals put in the water to hurt their fertility and to brain damage them and give them leukemia and to give them diabetes and to give them bone cancer. What John P. Holdren calls for, drugging the water supply to sterilize you. They're doing it. But people's priority is to go to the football game and get drunk. Their priority is to go spend $100 a night at the bar buying their buddies drinks instead of supporting this radio show, instead of supporting Ron Paul, instead of supporting themselves or giving their children true organic food. It's priorities. The materialism of all the firearms I own isn't, I go pet them and, I have all these guns. It's the right of a free man to be armed, and I own guns. When I buy gold or silver and make quadruple profits because I knew what was coming, because I could read the globalist-owned documents, it wasn't so I could go to a safety deposit box and open a little drawer of gold and sit there and go gold and play with it with my hands. It's so I've got an emergency backup for my family in this operation. But I'm going off into a rant about this. The point is, these sponsors are important and people need to support them. Because raising your consciousness level isn't going to do jack squat about deadly fluoride in your body. But I do agree with much of what you're saying, ma'am. AcolaBlue.com. Did you know you could be drinking fresh, clean water made right from the air you breathe? No, this isn't something out of a science fiction book. Our sponsor, Acola Blue, with the Acola Blue 28 machine, will allow you to do just that. It's easy to use, and it will make up to 7.5 gallons a day of water. The water, once generated, passes through a 7-stage filtering process, including reverse osmosis, carbon filtration techniques, ensuring that you know exactly what you are drinking. No chemicals, pollutants, or fluoride we spend so much time talking about on this show. Get your very own source of unlimited, renewable drinking water for you and your families today by visiting them on the website, AcolaBlue.com. That's ECOLOBLUE.com. Or by clicking on their banner on Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com, or give them a call at 800-691-6043, 800-691-6043. One other sponsor I want to tell you about is eFoodsDirect.com. We don't have to remind you that you need food to survive, and eFoods Direct is the longest continually operating storable foods company in the country. They have 10% off for the rest of the month on their already low prices of non-GMO, non-hybrid food. They also happen to be true patriots and have supported the freedom movement for years and years. Man, more than 20 years I know of. With the looming globalist operations, the swine flu, the talk of wars, depression, the police state, all of this, it's imperative that you make sure you and your family are prepared with non-GMO, good, clean, storable foods. Give them a call today at 800-409-5633. Ask for a free brochure. Or visit them on the web at eFoodsDirect.com, and they got big banners up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Again, eFoodsDirect.com or 800-409-5633, eFoodsDirect.com. Okay. Let's go over the news now. And when I preface a story like this, I don't preface it because I'm scared of the truth. I don't preface it because I'm trying to win a popularity contest. I preface it because it's so subtle and so nuanced and so multifaceted and multivariate that if I come out and report this wrong, it will drive people further apart and will aid the globalists that want to engage in divide and conquer. But at the same time, it needs to be discussed because there's a media cover-up concerning this predominantly. We report on how the mainline Ku Klux Klan and white supremacist organizations are controlled by the federal government, ADL, Southern Poverty Law Center, and others. They've been caught over and over again, not just infiltrating the groups, but captaining them, running them. And I've had all the chief Nazi websites with millions of viewers a month always attack Alex Jones. And why do they do that? They do that because I have a spirit of victory. I understand we can win. I spread that spirit of victory infectiously because I know the power of the people in history. And I understand that we can't be divided. We have to be united on the Bill of Rights, Constitution, Declaration of Independence against the New World Order. And when we make it racial or religious, then that allows the globalists to